Miranda rights is the topic of subject today. That is when the police read you your rights. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Anything you say or do can be used in you in the court of law. If you don't have an attorney, one will be blah, 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 blah. Those things. Did you know the police do not have to read you your rights when you arrest you? Yet when they arrest you, they don't have to read your rights. We understand that. We see this on television all the time. We understand that this is a myth that we feel like, oh, in order for it to be a valid arrest, the police must have read me my rights. And if they didn't read me my rights, they have to let me go. That is a myth. That is a false name, mostly perpetrated by television. Here's the thing. The police only have to read you your rights if they are asking you questions and you are in custody and you have the possibility of incriminating yourself. So we're going to talk about the first thing that needs to be met. The first thing that needs to be met is you have to feel like you are in custody. In custody is when Miranda rights are invoked. In custody means you're either under arrest or feel like you're under arrest. The Supreme Court has titled that when one reasonably feels like he or she is not free to leave. When you feel like your movements are restricted and you cannot do what you want to do, whether the police have said you're under arrest, whether you're in handcuffs or not, you are at that point considered under arrest for the purposes of your rights. If you feel like you are not free to leave, then the police have to read you your rights before questioning you about a crime. It does not have to be about the crime that they are investigating. It can be about any crime. Any crime, whether it's past or in the present. If it's 10 years ago, if you reasonably feel like you cannot be free to leave or not free to leave, the police then have to read you your rights before they start asking you questions about a crime. If they are not asking you any questions about a crime while you're in custody, they do not have to read your rights to you. They can take you into custody, take you to the station, book you, drop you off at the jail, and leave you be without reading you a doggone thing if nobody has asked you any questions about a crime. If a person does, or a police officer or a representative of the police does ask you about a crime, they cannot use that information in court. So they might talk and, hey, what about this? Why'd you do that? Where'd you put the gun? That's fine, but they can't use any of that information as evidence against you if they have not read your rights, whether it be about that crime or any other crime. Remember, the component is in custody. Now, here's the thing. Questions. That's another key point. It does not have to actually be a question. It can be a statement. The Supreme Court has worded it as any statement that is likely to invoke a response. So it might even be something like, man, well, we got you for shoplifting. It would be nice if we just, probably let you go if you could just tell us where you put the TV you took. And if that was the case, and you say, well, the TV is around the corner. Well, now you incriminate yourself because you know where the TV is. But they said something to you that was likely to invoke a response, which would make it invalid questioning, which means they would have to throw that out or not be able to use it in court. And oftentimes, that's the difference between you being found guilty and your case being completely dropped or dismissed. So a lot of times, the police will offer us, here's a clue, the police will get away with trying to question you without reading you your rights. They'll let you do things like be free to leave, let you go to the bathroom, give you something to eat, never handcuff you, let you use the phone, let you take a stroll to get some things off your chest. Because once they read you your rights and you say, I want a lawyer, then all questioning stops then. Now, you could say, you know what, I do want to talk to the police, and you can reapproach them, and then they have to read you your rights again. But they cannot reapproach you after you have basically said, hey, I want a lawyer or I want to invoke my right to silence. So that is very important for you to know. They don't have to read you the rights at all if they're questioning you if you're not in custody. So they'll also try to get away with a lot without trying to read you your rights. But if you do feel like you're in custody, you're not free to leave, whether they've said the words or not, they have to read you your rights if they're questioning about the crime, whether it's the crime that they've stopped you for or any other crime that happened in the past. It doesn't even have to be the one they're talking about. Now, I know I talked about little things and I kind of went into little subsections. Here's one other little subsection. They do have a lot of flexibility when it comes to vehicle stops. on a traffic stop because you're on a public roadway, and the license to drive on a public roadway or to operate a motor vehicle on a public roadway is considered a privilege. The state owns the roads. They give you a privilege to operate on those roads. So that's where a lot of flexibility with questioning comes in around DUI, because you have to, as a part of your contract to receive a driver's license, you have to submit to DUI investigation. So that is where some of those things come from. This is Jay's Checkpoint. If you have any questions about Miranda waivers, Miranda rights, and when they need to read them to you, let me know. I will actually post some information for you and some links for you to follow up on the comment section, and just feel free to DM me. But the important thing is to make sure you know your rights. Make sure that you're not being questioned improperly. Make sure they are not gathering evidence to use it against you in the court of law that is not valid. Know when to invoke an attorney, and don't try to fight the police because you think it's an invalid arrest because they didn't read you your rights. All right. This is Jay's Checkpoint. Make sure you know your rights, y'all. Appreciate it. We out.
Truth. No chaser.